All right, so welcome to our quarter three. Sorry, let me edit this one. There you go. So welcome to the quarter four, week three, day three for the health intentional injuries. So we're going to continue the asynchronous session from the previous session. Allow me to discuss first what are the objectives, though we already know what are the content standards, performance standards, and the most essential learning competencies for um, the intentional injuries for the health for the fourth quarter. At first, we're going to recall the concept and types of the terrorism. So I will allow you to put it on the comment box on the asynchronous session on the YouTube. And then second is understand the different and differentiate between the verbal and sexual abuse. Letter C, know the idea of rape and learn how to prevent, avoid, or what to do when it happens. So these are the objectives that we're going to do. Allow me to change my screen. So before we formally start, I would like you to do short activity here in the asynchronous session on the comment box of the YouTube. I want you to someone. Huh? All right, I'll go with that. This one. So on the comment section, I want you to recall. No, allow me to zoom in. Yeah. So I want you to recall. No, if you didn't able to see yet the quarter four, week three, day two, or and day one in the intentional injuries for health. All of the concepts and discussion. Just scroll back or go back to your group chats to see the links and watch it. Then after you watch those asynchronous session, I want you to this session or do this activity to recall part. I want you to put it in the comment box or put it on your notebook and send it to me through PM or sorry, not PM but on the group chat. What are the things that we have discussed on the day one? No, or much better to focus on the data because on day two there's also a recall part or recall session. Now, so after you did that, you can pause it for the meantime, then do that part, or gawin nyo muna tong part nito. You can, we can resume now and continue to the next part. No? So our goals or our focus today is we just like on the objectives on the recalling part. But in terms of content, we will focus on the verbal abuse, sexual abuse, rape, MPRCB, and the classification of movies. And today, I will also give you series of activity from the reflection activity to the written work and also to the performance tasks for the health. This is the written work number one for the quarter four of health and read performance task number one. Later on, I will discuss that further. Furthermore, and if you have any question, just put it on the comment section. Furthermore, allow me to change my screen again and the material. Here you go. So we're done with the recalling session. I'm hoping and looking forward that you're doing that. Uh, you're able to finish that or do that a while ago. Now, let's go to the materials. There you go. Yeah. So as we continue, we'll start with the verbal abuse. No, if you're writing the part of the discussion, you can pause it and then resume. No, now, if we're talking about the verbal abuse, basically the concept or the idea about it is like this: it's a kind of form or act of cruelty that involves the use of words. No, we have what we call balbal na salita. No, if we're going to recall sa Filipino. Furthermore, meron pang mas mga malalalim at hindi nakakatuwang gamitin mga salita. And then basically this may cause attack or control and cause harm on the other person. But if we're going to look on the linguistic side or linguistic part, ang salita ay salita, no? It depends, nagva-vary ang bigat ng isang salita depende how the connection or how the emotion attached on that word attack or integrated with you or anchored with you. So, basically, kung itong mga salita na ito ay nakaka-offend or nakaka-apekto sa'yo, mapamura man yan or normal na salita, kasi 'di ba meron tayong konotasyon at denotasyon sa Filipino. So basically, it may feel abuse on your part, no? So another form of verbal abuse is yung repetition of words, like for example, dukha, mahirap, mataba, payatot, and so on and so forth, no? So it includes behaviors such as angry, outbursts, and screaming range, and name calling or cat calling also, no? So but cat calling also involved or included in the sexual abuse, no? And which tends to blame and brainwashes and threatens a person. So mas lumalakas ang verbal abuse also kapag kumakalat or nagiging chismis. Pangalawa, kapag maraming nakakaalam at gumagamit ng mga salita towards to you, no, and so on and so forth. So ganun pa rin, ang prevention natin for this one is as much as possible, wag pansinin, no? Parang apoy. Di ba sa apoy, para mapatay ang apoy, wag natin bigyan ng reason para magningas or umapoy pa. So in order to avoid conflict and confrontation, avoid as much as possible or try yung pagsabihan. Now, pag hindi gumana yon, you can also report it to the higher authority, lalo na kapag nasa school. Within the community, we have the barangay and the police, and so on and so forth. So at the end of the day, the best way to avoid the verbal abuse is um, to let the people know na hindi okay yon. Pag hindi pa rin gumana yon, go to the authorities na. Next one, we have the sexual abuse. So allow me to zoom in para mas makita. So sexual abuse do have many forms. It could be an incest, molestation, and rape. No, and to make it legal and at the same time to make it more obvious, sexual abuse also happen when there are matured individual, no, who are doing something sexual activities or sexual verbal activities and so on and so forth. So it could be in the form of the incest, molestation, and rape. No, so for the incest, this is actually a sexual contact between the person who are closely related that a marriage between them is considered illegal. Example, parents and children, uncles and aunts, nieces and nephews, and usually incest take the form of an older family member having sexual relations or sexually abusing a child or an adolescent. Now, but we need to understand also there are other cultural aspect that incest is somehow culturally legal. Okay, there are some minorities or there are some traditions and also um, how do a cultural heritage wherein they consider incest as a form of purity. No, even it happens also in the royal. Even in the royal family and so on and so forth. But there's a proper way in doing that, no? There's a proper protocol and proper order that happen on those school shoots. No, so the word incest happen literally or happens when there's a violation, no, or violation of legalities. There's a violation of social relationship. No? There's also a violation between the rights, no, ng individuality. Next, let's talk about the molestation. When we talk about molestation, is a sexual abuse of a person by an adult foe, sexual pleasure of for profit. The other countries do have adult entertainment, even here in the Philippines, but there's always or meron laging boundaries for that. No, lalo na kapag wala pa sa right age. That's the first one. Pangalawa, if no consent at all, that's considered a molestation. And pangatlo is if it's illegally bounded by the law. Kapag sinabi ng batas ng isang lugar o ng isang bansa na bawal talaga ang ganung activity, whether there's consent or there's a right, um, what do you call this, right age na yun, no? And lalo na the way it was produced or the way it was created, lalo na for video dissemination, bawal talaga yan, no? So molestation may include fondling, to handle, stroke or cares lovingly or erotically. Mutual masturbation, these are two people touching each other's sexual organs for pleasure. We have sodomy, sexual intercourse that involves inserting of the penis to the anus of other person. We have coitus, so it's a Latin term for sex, a sexual intercourse between a male and a female involving the insertion of the penis to the vagina. No, so lalo na sa Pilipinas that we are dominated by the traditions and also religion. Um, the better na ginagawa ang mga bagay na ito is as much as better kasal sila, no? But of course, another thing din eh dapat ay hindi na sila mga minor, no? As much as possible we avoid doing this kind of activity before sila dumating sa legal age, no? I mean, pag beyond legal age na pala. So another thing that concerns a lot in the society is the child pornography. So this is explicit portrayal of children as sexual subject matter for purpose of sexual arousal. It may be in a variety of media, no? Books, magazine, films, photos, and etc. Prostitution refers to the children who get paid for sex. No? So kadalasan nangyayari ito sa mga below poverty line. So even here in the Philippines, there are documentation that this kind of problem exists. DSWD also reported that there are a lot of problem and even the Department of Labor. So how are we going to resolve or paano ba tayo magiging parte ng solusyon ng mga problemang ito sa lipunan? Una is information dissemination, kagaya ng ginagawa natin ngayon. Pangalawa, hindi dapat nagiging tabu ang ang idea or ang pag-uusap regarding sex. As young as possible, they should know their rights. They should know that the do's and the don'ts, and also they should know kung ano yung mga boundaries na dapat sineset. No? Lalo na kapag mga related, sexual related concepts and ideas na ang pinag-uusapan. Okay? Ngayon, another thing din is yung pagiging vigilant. Kapag nakikita nyo or no-observe ninyo ang mga bagay na nangyayari ito, lalo na kapag sa school, I do recommend to report it on the teacher and at the same time to the guidance counselor. If in the community or barangay level, there's what we call VAUSI, no? Sa mga police and sa barangay, para mas madaling ma-actionan. The more na hinahayaan natin ng mga bagay na to, the more na nag-i-spread siya sa community as normal. No? In the bridge of the technology right now, no? Maraming mga sexual activities na ang lumalabas in the different social media platform. So the best way we can do is regulate, control, and inform the students and the young ones that there's always a boundaries and there's always do's and don'ts na dapat gawin and sundin. And next one, we have the rape. No, just a moment. Ayan. So when we talk about the rape, it's a forced sexual intercourse including vaginal, anal, or oral penetration. The sexual act may also be considered as rape if it is satisfying any of the following criteria. Una, one or both people are not old enough to consent, which means one or both of them are below 18 years old. That's considered as rape. One of them does not have the capacity to consent, which means one of them may not be in his or her right mental and legal capacity consent. No? Even though na beyond 18 years old na sila, but they do have uh, mental conditions or mental problems, basically, that would include rape also, or that would fall under the category of rape. One of them did not agree to take part. So even sa mag-asawa, kahit kasal na sila, as long as hindi nagbibigay ng consent or nag-agree, mapalalaki or mapababae yan, there's a form or may kaso yun as a form of rape, no? So, you can bring it or pwede mong dalhin sa legalities or sa batas ito. Which means the rapist may use the physical force or threat to force the victim to have intercourse with him or her. So, lagi lang natin tatandaan, legality, um, age bracket, no? Dapat nasa legal age na kayo. Pangatlo is consent, no? These are the three things kadalasan ang kailangan para magkaroon kayo ng proper sexual intercourse, followed by the bounded by the legal and also by the cultural and traditional um, binds, no? Na tinatawag natin. Like, dapat kasal sa West, ano pa, dapat kasal sila sa church and so on and so forth, no? As much as possible, no? Next, ayan. So, we're done with this one. Proceed naman tayo sa tinatawag nating MTRCB. When we talk about MTRCB, it stands for the Movie and Television Review and Classification Board, no? Actually, dapat nga ma-update ito. Even the social media platform, kahit merong mga rules and regulation, pero kung mga local contents naman, like ina-upload sa YouTube, TikTok, and also Facebook, siguro I think it's better na ang MTRCB is to come in and report and mangialam, no? But that's a hunch, no? And that's the idea lang naman on my end. So when we talk about MTRCB, we are referring for the government agency responsible for rating television and film in the Philippines. Now, so kadalasan, dapat lahat ng mga production and outputs and movies dumadaan sa kanila. And nire-review nila yon. And we have different classification and rating of television show. Isa-isayin natin sila. So when we say G, normally it's a color green with letter G. It stands for the general patronage, no, or patronage. It's actually suitable for all ages. So material for television does not contain anything unsuitable for children. So kadalasan, mga educational TV show, kids shows, also mga shows na masyadong uh, how do you say this? Malayo sa iba't ibang kasamaan, ano pa ba? Kapanganiban, and so on and so forth. We have the PG, we have the parental guidance suggested. Pinapayagan panoorin ito ng mga bata, but there's always a guidance of the parent. And we need to remember, we need to understand na ang magulang pa rin ang may control sa mga bagay na ito. So, material for television may contain some adult material that may be permissible for children to watch, but only under the guidance and supervision of a parent or adult. No, so kung may mga part dun sa palabas na yun na hindi naintindihan ng bata at medyo violent, that's time, no, na i-discuss ninyo bakit nandun yun and so on and so forth. SPG, strongly and more vigilant parental guidance is suggested Programs may contain more serious topic and theme which may not be advisable for children to watch, except under the very vigilant guidance. No, that's the very term, very vigilant guidance and presence of a parent or an adult. Now, we also have classification of movies. Now, for the movies naman, these are ganun pa rin, GPG. Pero sa SPG, we have, yan nga, yung sa SPG, kung sa TV may SPG, sa movies naman, ginawa siyang rating per age bracket, no? So we have R13 for 13 years old and above, R16 for 16 years old and above, R18 for 18 years old and above. Now, we need to understand kasi, di ba, in human development, bawat edad kasi or bawat age bracket na pinapasukan ng bata ay merong iba't ibang physical and mental and cognitive development. So, basically, there are some contents sa kahit anong paliwanag sa kanila because they don't have yet or hindi pa sila fully developed, hindi nila maintindihan yon kahit anong pasok mo sa kanila yon. And that's why may mga ganitong classification. And X stand for X-rated films which are not suitable for public exhibition. So kadalasan, it's more on the private, it's more on the adult content, and so on and so forth. So what are the criteria for classification of television shows and movies? Allow me to um, discuss. So that's the last part na pala, no? So, yan. Ano ba ba? So, tapusin lang natin hanggang number 7. Proceed muna tayo sa 1 to 3. So, these are the criteria for the classification of television shows and movies. The first one is the themes, no, or tema. If the films contains violence, threat, abuse, horror, or the other themes that may causes fear or disturbances to a young child's mind, no? Ano ba ang pinaka-purpose natin talaga dito is we want to avoid to pollute, no? Kung hindi talaga natin maiwasan na ma-inject or mabigyan sila ng mga content, yun nga, kagaya dun sabi, parental guidance, no? Or more knowledgeable ones, guidance for the young adults para mas maunawaan nila. But we need to understand also na there are some concept and ideas na kahit anong turo mo sa kanila or kahit anong explanation niyo sa kanila because of the hindi pa fully developed ang kanilang cognitive and mental and physical aspect, hindi rin nila kahit paano ma-absorb yan. So that's why meron din tayong mga palabas or content na hindi talaga dapat pinapakita at all. Language, if the film contains dialogue beyond polite language, however, disrespectful, nasty, and sexually suggestive language or gesture are not allowed. Next, nudity. Nudity. If the film contains occasional as well as natural non-sexual nudity. Papasok din dito yung symbolism, no? Now, there are some cartoons and movies na merong mga symbolism of sexual representation and so on and so forth. We have sex, if the films contains and present sexual activities. Violence, if the film present a representation of any violence that is likely to cause undue anxiety or fear of young children. Not just anxiety or fear, but it may lead them to imitation. That's one thing then. Um, Whether we like it or not, there are some movies and there are some TV series na kung saan na-adapt or nagagaya ng mga bata. So that's why we need to control it. Horror, if there is a representation of horror and frightening scene that is likely to cause undue anxiety or fear to young children. We have the drug if there is a representation of or reference to prohibited drugs or their use. No? So the problem, some of the content kasi ngayon, lalo na sa drugs, akala nila is cool yun or okay yun. Kaya nangyayari, yung mga young adults, dahil gusto nila maging cool, ayun nga, balik tayo dun, imitation pa rin. Dahil nakikita nila sa mga matatanda na parang okay at kinagugustuhan nyo na madla, may tendency na gayahin din nila yan. Okay? So now, proceed tayo sa written works and performance test natin. For our written works, we have the Q4, Um, sorry. Q4 written work number 1 in health. Anong gagawin natin? So please take a look. You can take a picture or a screenshot of this. We have the speechless, no? This one. So basahin nyo to, Speechless by Kyra Lee. And what you're going to do, try to read it twice or thrice, dalawang beses or tatlong beses. And then, there are some guide questions na kailangan yung sagutin. Sir, saan po namin ilalagay if you have a question like that? Ilalagay nyo lang po yan sa notebook. So, we have here three guide question. The first one is, what is the poem all about? Pangalawa, what violence being talked in the poem? And number three, what would you do if you were the mother, Shasha, Lay, and a concerned neighbor? Okay? So, sa notebook lang din ilalagay, no? I want you to copy the guide question but not the story. Okay? Copy and answer the guide questions and elaborate or answer it elaborately, no? When we say elaborately, pag sinabi natin, what do you think the root cause of this, and so on and so forth, or what is the poem all about, bawal or wag natin sanayin ng sarili natin na it's all about tragedy, that's all. Explain it why it's considered tragedy, or what kind of thematic is that, no? For our performance, that's for our quarter 4 um, written work number 1. This is for our quarter 4 performance task number 1 for the health, no? On your notebook na lang din, no? I want you to research for a top 10 intentional injuries in our country, Philippines, no? Intentional injuries, ha? So, alamin ninyo, and then as much as possible, ito ay merong statistics, no? For example, according to the Mental Health Association of the Philippines, there are 59% of blah 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 and so on and so forth. Statistic, no? We should answer the activity data driven, research driven, and so on and so forth. So, sampo. And you can print it and put it on your notebook. Ganun ang gagawin natin, no? And I will collect your notebook on what do you call this? I will collect your notebook on probably on Tuesday. Okay? Tuesday tayo. Okay? So, if you have any question, just let me know. And sana, walang magkakapareho ng information. As much as possible, the information are varied from different resources. We have different organizations focus on the different intentional injuries that we talk about for the past 3 days of quarter 4, week 3. Okay? For the intentional injuries. So day 1, day 2, day 3, recall it, no? And look for the data and look for the studies, news outlets, and so on and so forth. Huwag kayong tamad, no? And now, allow me to change my screen. May isa pa akong ipapagawa sa inyo, no? So, it's more on the metacognitive. When we talk about metacognition, diba? It's about thinking about your thinking. So, let's have our reflection, of course, no? Ayan. So, on the comment box, allow me to zoom out para makita mo. Makita nyo pala. No, I want you to do reflection. Ganun pa rin. No? Let's make it a habit to do reflection. It's good for your mental health. And let's see if how you filter, how you adjust and learn from our discussion. So send it to your, put it on the notebook or on comment box and send it to our group chats. You know? So the thing that you have learned today, quarter 4, week 3, day 3. And ano yung mga pwede nyo pang idagdag, no? Like for example, sorry, pag nangyari yun sa inyo, wag naman sana, lalaki, babae, third sex, no? Ano mga dapat natin gawin pa, di ba? So like for consult with your peers, so yung mga mabubuting peers, and then report it to the guidance psychologist or report it to the barangay community para ma-action na at hindi na maulit sa iba, so on and so forth. So, Yung mga ganong reflection would really help a lot to uplift the learnings that we have today. Okay? So I think that would sum up right now. If you have any question, just let me know. I will end this broadcast. And then patuloy pa ako magsisend ng mga asynchronous video presentation and then mga materials, supplementary, and hard copies kung kakayanin ko pa. No? So that's all. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you so much.